This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
More Chumba Casino fan mail. Love this. It says, Dear Ryan, I love Chumba Casino. They're so much fun. I love the wild ride from the social slots to the slingo to jackpots quicker than a 6-time real spin. Everybody's finding their fun at Chumba Casino. Why don't you find out for yourself? Head to ChumbaCasino.com and enjoy hundreds of casino-style games for free with your welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
You know, Russ, nowadays we love our TV shows. Like, we will binge a new show in a matter of a few days. Well, the killer I'm going to tell you about today, he was obsessed with a TV show about a serial killer, and he wanted to be just like him. But fortunately for us, he was really bad at it. This is the case of the Canadian wannabe serial killer, Mark Twitchell. Hello, everyone.
Yo.
Welcome back to Wife of Crime. This is a true crime podcast where I tell my husband Russ all my favorite true crime stories and he reacts to them.
And yeah. I didn't know what to say.
So we just want to say thank you so much to everybody. We've gotten a few more 5-star reviews on iTunes and we're really happy about it. I have some shout outs like we do every week. Some people who shared us on Instagram.
Thanks, guys. We've been getting a lot of listens.
So much. Yeah, we have. Our listens have gone up a lot, and we're super stoked about it.
I've never been stoked in my life. We don't get stoked in the Bronx. It's not a word.
Well, I'm stoked, and I live in the Bronx. So how about that?
Not from here.
I want to shout out some people. I'm going to make it quick because there's a decently long list of people. Soon we're going to have to stop doing shout outs because then I'm just going to be, the first 5 minutes is going to be just naming people.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to shout out Tara, Stephanie, Megan, Siobhan, Casey, Audrey, and Jeremy. Thank you guys so much. So Russ, what would you say is your favorite series? And you're not a big show person, but what's your favorite series that you've ever watched?
I like Dexter.
You like Dexter. Well, someone else really liked Dexter, and his name was Mark Twitchell, and he was a wannabe serial killer who wanted to be exactly like Dexter Morgan.
Oh, if you kill bad people, that's okay.
Well, he didn't kill bad people, and he was actually a giant D-bag from Edmonton, Canada, who wanted to be like Dexter, but did a terrible job at
There are
being
killers
like
in
Dexter.
Canada?
Yeah.
I thought they were only nice people. Shout out to our Canada listeners. If you're a killer, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
We do have a lot of Canada listeners. So this guy, he was from Edmonton. I don't even know where Edmonton is. I have no idea what the geography of Canada is, but he was from Edmonton.
Because lazy Americans only know about themselves.
It's true. The only thing I know about Edmonton is there is like the biggest mall in North America. It's even bigger than the Mall of America.
And then they have a hockey team. I think it's the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, it is the Oilers. Apparently they suck. I don't know. I don't know anything about hockey. But
And so she's just randomly blurting that out. She has no clue.
I heard they suck. But so apparently Edmonton
Just
is
sport
nicknamed Deadmonton because it's like a rough area of Canada. So this guy, his name was Mark Twitchell, and he.
Yo, the Oilers are good. They're 23-17 right now as we speak.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe they are good.
On this, we're starting it off with a just messed up. Say sorry.
Sorry, Canada. So this guy, Mark Twitchell, all of our Canadian people probably know who he is. He's known as the Dexter Killer. But he had one attempted murder and one actual murder and dismemberment. And he was caught pretty quickly after his murder. So he was a pretty terrible wannabe serial killer. He was an aspiring filmmaker that became super inspired by the show Dexter. And he made 2 films that were really low budget and absolutely horrendous. One of them was a comedy.
You're very judgy today.
Because he's such an idiot. Like, when I tell you this story, you're going to hear how big of a loser this guy was. He's just a terrible person. So anyway, he made these 2 low budget, terrible films. One of them was a comedy called Day Players, and another one was a Star Wars fan film called Secrets of the Rebellion. He was an arrogant, narcissistic little dweeb. Well, he is. He's still alive. He's an arrogant, narcissistic.
You just gave up the ending. We didn't know that.
No.
It could have been suspenseful. Maybe
that
he
he's
died
an arrogant
in a blaze of glory.
No, he's still alive.
I might have said that wrong.
He's still alive. And he's like a giant sci-fi fantasy nerd. He was really into cosplay. Like, nothing against sci-fi nerds.
What's cosplay?
Costume play, where they dress up as characters and they like play war and stuff.
like sword fighting.
Yeah, but like, they'll dress up as comic book characters
like that
or
movie,
sci-fi characters.
Where they like had the little kid and they had to like take him to the
Big Brother thing.
Yeah, the Big Brother one.
What's that movie called? The one with the guy, I can't remember the movie.
Step Brother?
No, it's not Step Brothers. I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about. Had the little black kid and the little nerdy white kid who was into cosplay.
Yeah, and the black kid was more funny.
Yeah, he was really funny. Okay, anyway, I don't know the name of that. Someone's probably yelling it at their radio as we speak, but...
Or they're like, cosplay is cool, stupid!
It's true, because there probably are a decent amount of cosplay people who listen. So I have nothing against cosplay, but this guy in particular...
If I see you cosplay, I'm making fun of you right away.
Well, this
in
guy...
person. Even if you're wearing a Wife of Crime t-shirt.
Well, this guy in particular was just giant sci-fi nerd who loved cosplay. And
to defend myself, though, I make fun of my best friends, too. So
yeah, you do. This story just shows that to a normal average person like us watching a series about a serial killer, it's just purely entertainment. But for a delusional, narcissistic psychopath, it can be an inspiration for real life horror. So like I said, luckily he only committed one murder because he was such a bad killer that he got caught pretty much right away. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about his early life.
What's his name?
Mark Twitchell.
I like to look them up just so I could see what they look like while you tell me the story.
Yeah.
Everyone could do it with me. Look up Mark Twitchell.
Yeah. Mark.
How do you spell Twitchell?
Oh my God. Twitchell.
All right, we're all looking it up together now.
People are driving right now. So Mark was born July 4th, 1979, and he was raised in a really good home. He wasn't abused. He had a very normal childhood. He had 2 loving parents. He was a bit nerdy when he was younger, and like I said, he loved sci-fi.
He was just an average-looking, nerdy white dude.
Yeah, and then when he got into high school, he got really big into cosplay. And I don't know, he got made fun of and bullied a little bit for being into cosplay, because especially back in the mid 90s to late 90s. Like nowadays, I feel like being a Star Wars nerd, because, Star Wars kind of blew up again once Disney took it over. And people who go to Comic-Con and all these places, like it's kind of cool to be a nerd now. But back when we were kids in the 90s and early 2000s, being nerdy wasn't cool back then.
I guess no one ever said that watching Star Wars was like that nerdy. People liked it. I don't like it.
I mean, I loved Star Wars growing up, so.
I think it's boring.
Yeah, you think it's boring, but I loved it. So he was huge into this stuff. He got bullied a little bit, but other than that, he had a pretty normal childhood, like good parents and everything. He was, however, a pathological liar, and he would get caught in lies all the time. He was constantly trying to make himself seem cooler and more interesting than what he actually was. So while he was in college, this is just an example of his lying. While he was in college, he attended a fundraiser that his good friend organized, and he claimed that he had real life concept art from the film Phantom Menace, because the movie Phantom Menace, episode 1 of the prequels of Star Wars, had just come out. And he claimed that these were, this was art.
You're like speaking another language to me. You're like concept art, Phantom Menaces.
Well, Phantom Menace is episode 1. It's one of the Star Wars movies.
I don't need, just tell me it's a Star Wars movie. Keep it moving with this nerd stuff.
So anyway, he brought in this art claiming it was from the movie, like the film producers had made it. But it was clearly fake.
It's probably like worth money and cool.
Yeah, he brought it to auction off at his friend's fundraiser. But it was clearly fake. Like everyone who saw it, it looked like he drew it himself.
It's like a stick figure with a lightsaber.
Yeah. And, so it just shows like he would lie about all these things, and he would lie about completely obvious things. It was really bizarre. So he graduated college in the year 2000, and this is when the internet was really blowing up. And Mark, he was totally obsessed with the internet, and he spent a lot of time in chat rooms.
Looking at porn, pushing A/S/L, age, sex, location in the chat rooms.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Or is it like
ASL?
Yeah.
Age, sex, location. That's right. Oh, my
Yep.
God, that's so funny. You totally just brought me back to chat rooms when we were kids. So anyway, he would spend tons of time in chat rooms.
That was like the very beginning of dick pics. I never took a dick pic though. It's always weird. Like, how do you pose? Like, I couldn't. You can't get.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
So
you,
he
like, thrust your hip out, lean to the side.
Okay,
like,
stop.
All right, go ahead.
So he would spend tons of time in chat rooms, and
hope my mom don't listen to this episode.
I keep laughing about it. And instant messenger and forums, he would instant message random people. He was just big into the whole internet thing. And it was kind of exciting. I mean, I remember the beginning of the internet, you would be talking to somebody who like lives in Sweden, or somebody who lives in like a whole other part of the world.
All right, how about this? Are you old enough to remember, get off the internet, I need to use the phone?
Yes.
Because it worked through the phone
Yes,
line.
I remember that. The dial-up.
If you're young, you don't remember that. It sounded like a Tweety bird when it connect, and it used the phone line, so no one could use the phone in your house.
It's true. Yeah, you were taking up the whole phone line the whole time you were online. That's so funny. You're bringing it all back to me. But I just remembered that when you said that. So another thing that he was big into, and it was kind of his hobby, this is when dating sites started.
Masturbating?
No, this is when dating...
From his pic, he was a chronic masturbator.
Well, probably...
I'm profiling that. Go look at his pics, guys. And that's what a chronic masturbator looks like.
Okay, well, probably. But he was big into making fake profiles of women and like catfishing men on dating sites. And he wasn't gay or anything. He just thought it was fun to make these fake profiles on dating sites.
I think it's a little funny, too.
That's weird.
I won't do it because it takes too much energy, but it's kind of funny to like mess with people and trick them.
Well, he loved tricking people. And I mean, he actually had his own profile on a dating site as well called Plenty of Fish. And this is when dating sites like weren't as big as they are now. Like, this is when people didn't really meet on dating sites. It was kind of just for lonely people or people who couldn't really get a date in the real world. They would go on these dating sites.
I have a question. What was your AOL email?
JRHDance777 at AOL.com.
That's not even funny.
What was yours?
I don't know, but it probably was like Big Russ from the Bronx at AOL.com.
From the Bronx, DA Bronx.
No, I actually meant to say but duh came out. It's natural.
So he ended up meeting a woman on the plentyoffish.com dating site, and her name was Megan Castorella, and she was honestly a really sweet, naive girl. It's pretty funny,
the name Plenty of Fish, because it's like you're fishing for hoes.
Stop, because it's men and women. Don't say that.
It could be a male hoe.
That's true.
Oh, assuming genders, you're not good for today's day and age.
No, whatever. Anyway, so he met this girl named Megan Castorella, who was like a sweet, naive girl from Colorado. Just a nice girl looking for love.
ASL.
She also was a bit nerdy herself, so she saw all of his pictures, and his like profile picture was him dressed up as Darth Maul from Star Wars, and she was hooked.
And I just saw a picture of him with dressed up as Wolverine.
Yeah, he loves to dress up. He's into cosplay. So after a few months of like a long distance relationship, she ended up moving to Canada to be with him, and they were married pretty much right away. Like, so they had only dated online, like dated long distance for a couple months. She moved to Canada and they got married right away. So shortly after she got married to him, she started catching him in all of these lies. I mean, he would lie about finances, paying bills. He would lie about his childhood.
Jess lies about finances.
No, I don't.
I'd be like, how much did that cost? She'd be like, $40, but it was really like $49.99. She always lies.
No, I don't.
So that $49.99 is $50.
I just round down.
So it doesn't sound like you spent more money.
Whatever. We're not talking about me. We're talking about him.
Well, I just had to relate. Sometimes I like to relate to the story. People are here for me and you. Relating.
Okay, so he would lie about everything. Finances, paying bills, his childhood, where he was going, where he was coming from, literally everything. She would catch him in lies constantly. And she also noticed that he created these multiple fake profiles and would go on these dating sites. And, you know, at this time, they didn't call it catfishing because catfishing really didn't exist. But at the time, he was catfishing people.
That term is dumb anyway.
So one day, they were laying in bed, and she said that they were just laying in bed watching TV, and he looked at her randomly out of the blue and said, "Do you ever think about killing someone?" And she kind of brushed it off. She was like, "Well, yeah, people make me really mad. I think, I could kill that person, but I don't really mean it. I just say it, and I would never actually act on it, though."
Wrong answer.
And he
You're
said,
dead.
No. He said, "Well, I've thought about it. I think I want to find a homeless person and kill them because no one will realize that they're gone." So you would think that this comment would be a giant red flag for this lady, but she ended up staying a little longer, and they moved to Illinois together in 2002.
Where there are more homeless people. Because in Canada, there are no homeless people. We all
you
know
don't
this.
Know that.
The streets are paved with gold and nice people.
You think Canada's like, I don't know, the Emerald City or something?
Yeah, it's a very nice place. They don't start no trouble. They're always nice. And even their side of Niagara Falls is better than America's.
It's true. They say A and a boat and oat. I don't know. I wish I could do a Canadian accent. Soul, we're going over here, eh?
So continue the story, eh?
Okay. So they ended up moving to Illinois in 2002. And he got a job as an appliance salesman. And he was actually really successful because we all know that people who are psychopaths and narcissists are really good salesmen. So he started cheating on her pretty much right away with multiple women, and he had zero remorse about it. And then one weekend, he went to Atlanta for the weekend to go to Dragon Con. And Dragon Con is a big-time cosplay con. So it's where all the cosplayers show off their elaborate costumes and everything. While he was at Dragon Con, he ended up meeting a lady and cheating on his wife. And when he got back from Dragon Con, he told her flat out, "I cheated on you over the weekend," and he had no remorse about it.
And he still had a little bit of green paint left on him from being dressed like a dragon.
Well, no, he wasn't probably dressed like a dragon, but...
What else are you doing at Dragon Con?
No, I just said it's a cosplay con. So they dress in all different characters. It's like the biggest cosplay con. So they have all different characters that they dress in.
If you go to Dragon Con, you kill it if you're a dragon, and that's how you get the ladies. So he probably went as the dopest dragon.
Maybe he did. I don't know. So this was enough for her, though. She was tired of it. And in 2004, she filed for divorce. And they divorced. Mark moved back to Edmonton into his parents' basement. And when he got there, the dragon's lair. When he got back to Edmonton in his parents' basement, he started writing the Star Wars fan film that I told you about earlier. What was it called? Secrets of the Rebellion. So he actually got some investors for this film, and he got a decent amount of money to make it. And he ended up getting the guy who played Boba Fett in the real Star Wars to play a small part in his movie. But everybody who worked with him said that he was like a terrible director. He was super unorganized. Pretty much this guy just does everything he does really bad. But he thinks that he's like God's gift to this earth and God's gift to women. He's like incredibly narcissistic, and he thinks that he's smarter than everyone, better than everyone, super good looking, but he's really just does everything wrong and half-ass.
I think everyone should feel good about themselves. So you go, Dragon Slayer, dude.
Well, he's a terrible person. So Mark met a girl online again on plentyoffish.com, and her name was Jess. And him and Jess, they pretty much started dating right away, and then got married within a few months, and then had a daughter right away. Like, she got pregnant pretty much right away. And
wait, he wasn't with the other girl? No. Oh, yeah, that's right. He went to live in his mom's dragon lair.
Yeah, because she divorced him.
That's right.
So this is his second wife, Jess. They had a daughter, and obviously their relationship was rocky as well. And she caught him on ashleymadison.com.
Is that where you get the biggins?
No, Ashley Madison is where you cheat on your husband or wife.
I thought that was where you get the big girls if you like big girls.
No, it's where you go on to specifically to have an affair.
That's stupid.
Well, that's what it is.
It's easy to get caught.
Well, he got caught, and Mark...
Oh, wait. If your spouse finds you on ashleymadison.com, they can't say anything. It's like, no, what were you doing on ashleymadison.com?
No, she found it on his computer. Like, she looked through the search history and found that he had a profile on there. On his computer.
Oh.
So Mark lied and said that he signed up for Ashley Madison to do movie research, and he even hired an actor to meet his wife and lie about this production that they were putting on. That's how elaborate he went with his lie to cover
Respect.
it up.
I feel like he's like Shaggy. Wasn't me.
Not respect. There's no
Caught
respect.
Me on Ashley Madison. Wasn't me.
In 2007, a friend introduced him to the series Dexter. And
best
he
show.
became...
Terrible ending.
Well, it is a terrible ending, but he became totally obsessed. He would talk about Dexter online in forums and on Facebook all the time. And do you remember, so like back in 2007, this is when Facebook statuses were still in third person. Do you remember when they were in third person? And you would make a status and it would say like, Jess is going to the gym, or...
I don't think I had Facebook back then.
Oh, okay. So back then...
I was a late adopter. I even had a house phone for a really long time, even when cell phones came out. And people were like, why don't you have a cell phone? I'm like, because you should... Like, I'm not on demand. I'll get back to you. I even had an answering machine. Kind of when I met you is when I kind of first got a cell phone.
Oh, wow. So that was 2010.
I know, and now you bother me all the time. I'm like on demand. It's annoying.
Well, in 2007, Facebook was all in third person. So like it would say Jess is going to the gym, or Jess feels like crap today.
I didn't know that.
Or, yeah. So it only changed a few years ago. So one of Mark's postings when he first started getting obsessed with Dexter, he posted, "Mark has way too much in common with Dexter Morgan." And then he ended up creating a Dexter profile where he pretended to be Dexter. So this was like his cosplay, but online. And he would make statuses as Dexter, and he would message people as Dexter because he just wanted to be him. So in August of 2008, Mark sent out a casting call for a new project. He just started writing called House of Cards.
Well,
it's not the Netflix House of Cards
with the dude
with
from
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey,
the pedo. No.
And then he got in trouble for I don't know if he was a pedo, but I know he was grabbing like grown man's junk.
Yeah, he was doing some weird shit. It was a 14-year-old kid.
No, there was men too. There's stories of him grabbing like grown men's junk. And then the grown man tell, why don't you just sock him in the nose?
I don't know. Well, anyway, this isn't the same House of Cards. So this is a movie that he wrote, that Mark Twitchell wrote, called House of Cards. And it's a film.
Jess's face was so nervous there when we were talking about that. You should have
saw.
No,
I wasn't.
It's like, what is he going to say?
My face was not nervous, everyone. Don't listen to him.
She don't know her face because she can't see it when she's making it.
So he made a film. Well, he wrote a film called House of Cards. And this film was about a cop turned serial killer, just like in Dexter. But he was not.
Dexter wasn't a cop.
Yeah, he was. He was a blood splatter.
He worked with the cops.
Well, whatever. You know what I mean. This guy was a cop turned serial killer, but he was not killing criminals. He was instead luring cheating husbands off the internet by catfishing them to a murder room and then killing them.
Damn.
So the plot was that a man gets lured to this garage by this killer pretending to be a woman online. And then he gets him, once he comes into the garage, he gets him with a stun gun. And the guy is wearing a hockey mask. And then he tortures and kills him and stabs him with a samurai sword. So it was like a 7-minute long movie, short film. And that was the plot.
That story sucks. And
I love how the end of it is the samurai sword.
Yeah, that story sucks. I love like scary movies and stuff, but that one sucks. I got some good ideas for scary movies. If anyone wants to make a good scary movie and you're not a sucky producer, hit me up.
It's true. He does have a couple really good ideas for scary movies, but we won't get into them. But this guy.
So Steven Spielberg, if you hear this, hit me up.
So this guy, like I said before, he always attempts to do things, but he does a terrible job at them. And this is just another example of a horror movie that he tried to write, but it was, stupid. But he somehow, again, got investors to invest enough money to put the movie into production.
Must be a good talker.
Yeah, he's a good salesman, remember? He sold appliances.
Oh,
He's
right.
a narcissistic psychopath, and they're usually really good salesmen.
You call everyone a narcissist or a psychopath.
Well, he
so
really is
it's
a
overrated.
narcissistic psychopath.
You call me that.
No, I don't.
You have.
Well,
Don't lie on the microphone.
when we argue. So he rented a 2-car garage that wasn't being used in like this bad neighborhood. And the couple he rented from didn't speak any English. So they didn't ask many questions. So now Twitchell had to put this production of this short movie, he was producing this short movie, but he decided it's time to put this movie into actual practice. And he was going to try to make the movie real.
Oh.
A few days after the movie shoot finished, he decided that he was going to live out his fantasy and he was going to try to find a lonely single man online. So he wasn't going to go after a cheating husband. He wanted to go after lonely single men. So he created a fake Plenty of Fish account of a blonde girl named Sheena. And unfortunately, Sheena's profile got the attention of a man named Gilles Tortreau. I think that's how you say it. Gilles Tortreau. He's like French or something. And I hope I said it right. He started messaging Sheena. They were messaging back and forth. And he said that he had just moved to Edmonton. He was a really nice dude. He was just a little lonely. He didn't have any friends. And he was looking for a lady to have a little fun with. So Mark says that he specifically chose pictures of a woman that was good looking enough that people would want to hook up with her, but not too hot where anyone would find this profile unrealistic. So he put a lot of thought into...
It's not that much thought.
Well, he put a lot of thought into the picture choices.
Because you don't want to use a model because obviously a model's not on there because she doesn't need to be on the fish website.
That's true.
So you just got to use an attractive regular person. That's not a lot of thought. That's just like...
Okay.
You'd be a bad catfisher. You would put like...
Well, that's good. It's a good
model?
thing that I would be a bad catfisher. So Sheena asked Jill if he wanted to meet up. And of course, he says yes. She didn't give him an exact address, though. She just gave him directions to a garage and told him to park and walk through the garage to get into the house. So Mark spent all day prepping for this. He soundproofed the walls in the garage. He covered the entire place, floor to ceiling, with plastic.
We need to soundproof our recording place. Just random thought.
Yeah, no, very random. He covered the whole place in plastic, just like Dexter used to. And he even made a table that he put in the middle of the room
Dexter
as
did that
a
often.
dissecting table.
Oh, he planned on dissecting.
Yeah. So as Gio was on his way, Mark logged onto Facebook and updated his Dexter Facebook status saying, Dexter is patiently waiting for his next victim, a play date buddy. And one of his followers responded, do this well, Dex. It could be really, really cool.
Who's that guy?
It's one of his followers on his fake Dexter profile.
Well, it's probably just
I'm sure the guy just had obviously
just bored.
thinks
A fat, greasy nerd drinking Coors Lights or Zimas or something like that.
So at 7 p.m., Gio pulled up to the garage and walked through. The door was partly opened. He walked through the door into this dark garage, and all of a sudden, Twitchell jumps out wearing a hockey mask and starts poking him with a stun baton. But a stun baton...
Probably making him dance with the stun baton.
Yeah, because... that's what
I picture him dancing.
He was, apparently. So...
But you could beat someone up if they got a stun baton, because you could it's not going to cripple you. Or maybe it is. Some people drop. One time, I was at a flea market with my mom in South Carolina. She moved out there one time for, I don't know, she's a mover. And we were at a flea market, and they sell all kind of stuff at this flea market. And there was this lady and this guy, and they sell, stun guns, zappers, knives. It's South Carolina.
Yeah.
They skin roadkill, you know what I mean? Shout out to Roadkill Skinnerers. And the lady, the guy was trying to sell the what's it called? A taser. That's what I'm looking for. He was trying to sell a taser to the lady. And she was she wanted to try it. And she was like, well, if it works on my husband, this is a real story. If it works on my husband, I'll get it. So she zapped her husband. He fell to the floor and he peed his pants.
Oh my God, in front of everyone?
In front of everyone.
How embarrassing.
I laughed. But now I think about it, I wonder if she bought it. She had to bought it.
That's crazy. That's really embarrassing.
True story.
Well, a stun baton, I don't know if you know this, but it's not like a taser. It actually has a delayed response. So initially you're oh, ow, ow. It's annoying. But after a few minutes, it causes your muscles to stop working. And it makes you almost noodly and paralyzed for a short time. So he was, he kept hitting him with this stun baton, and it was painful, but just more annoying. So Gio, he wasn't going down to the ground. He ended up pushing him away and trying to run out of the garage. So Mark pulls out a gun.
I can't beat that.
Gio didn't know this, but the gun was fake. It was a movie prop that he had in the garage. But Gio didn't know that it was a fake gun. So he gets down on his knees.
No, you got to run or fight, because if someone has a gun and you submit, they're just going to kill you anyway. So you might as well go out fighting. Don't go out begging.
Well, Mark got down on his knees. I mean, not Mark. Gio got down on his knees because Mark told him to. And then Mark put duct tape over his eyes. But as soon as he did that, Gio snapped. And he said, no, I'm not going out like that.
There you go, Gio.
And he stood up and he ripped the duct tape off of his eyes. And then he
probably ripped his eyebrows right off with that duct tape.
Probably did. And he starts punching Twitchell in the face. They got on the floor, they were rolling around, and then he gets the gun. When Gio got the gun, he realizes this shit's plastic. It's a plastic gun. And he says in an interview, it was the
made it. You just gave it up.
I did. Yeah. He says in an interview that it was the most amazing feeling he's ever felt in his entire life to know that the gun was fake.
Hell yeah, I would beat the piss out of him.
So after he punched him in the face a bunch of times, he ran out the door.
Don't run, keep beating.
But as he ran, the stun baton kicked in and he lost control of his legs. He fell on the ground. He fell on the ground. And Mark came out from under the garage door and grabbed one of his legs and started pulling him back into the garage. But at this moment, a couple was coming home and they were standing outside and they saw this go down. They saw him pulling the guy back in the garage. So Mark gets freaked out, lets go of the guy, and runs back in to the garage. And Gilles gets in his truck, gains his strength back, gets in his truck, and drives away. And he survived.
Holy moly.
So you would think that...
We got to try one of those stun sticks.
No. I'm not trying that.
I'll buy one if someone lets me try it on them. Hit me up.
How about I try it on you? How about while we do the podcast, I try it on you?
I might pee my pants. But no, I don't know, like all of a sudden all your muscles go limp? That's
what it does
weird.
is it causes a chemical reaction in your muscles and it causes your glucose in your muscles to turn to lactic acid. So it makes your muscles like either tense up or just stop working for a few minutes.
Just flopping like a fish.
Yeah, and you just start flopping. Mm-hmm.
That's terrible.
So he ended up getting away, but he was so humiliated by the whole ordeal, by the whole meeting this lady online. It was not even a woman. It was a man almost getting killed. He was so humiliated by it. He never went to police. So after a few weeks, Mark's like, oh man, the police are going to be coming for me. This guy knows exactly where this garage is. They're going to come after me, but no one ever came. And Mark was like, well, maybe I should try it again. A terrible attempt the first time, but he decided
to go fishing again.
He was going to try again. So he created another fake account. And this one was a girl named Jen. And this profile gained the attention of a bunch of men, but Mark chose a 38-year-old guy who was an oil pipeline inspector named Johnny Altinger. So Johnny told his friends that he was going on a date with this girl he met online, and he told his friend exactly where he was going. Again, Mark didn't give, or Jen didn't give the address of where he was going to go. She just gave directions. Go to this place. There's this garage. You go through the garage. You get to my house. So he told his friend Willie, I'm going to this place, but I don't have the exact address, but I'm just letting you know I'm going on a date with a girl I met online named Jen. And Willie even warned him. He said, this sounds a little off, eh?
Sounds a little fishy.
This sounds a little fishy,
From the fishy
eh?
websites.
But Johnny didn't listen.
I heard you, eh? I heard you. Made you funny. Hashtag just made a funny.
Canadian people probably don't think it's funny at all.
Like, that ain't funny, eh? Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna name this episode "So you want to be a killer, eh?" That's what I'm gonna name.
Every Canadian listener ever.
No, they know we're just kidding.
Hey guys, hang out. I like the Toronto Raptors.
They know we're kidding. Anyway, so he tells his friend Willie that he's going to this place but doesn't have the address. And Willie says it sounds a little fishy. But Johnny didn't listen because he's a 38-year-old lonely man and he really just wants some girl action. So Mark decided, you know what? It's probably not a good idea to use the stun baton or the mask. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. And he decided he was just going to beat the guy on the head as soon as he walked in with a pipe.
Wasn't this guy a pipe fitter?
Well, he was an inspector, an oil pipeline inspector.
I know there was someone with pipes.
So, to Mark's surprise, Johnny showed up 30 minutes early. And
his pipe wasn't ready.
Mark was not ready. So Johnny walked in the garage and said, "Hello?" And Mark said, "Hello," and turned the lights on.
You're weirding me out now.
And claimed that the whole thing, this whole garage, was a movie set. He said, where's Jen? And Mark said, oh, she just stepped out for a second, but she'll be right back. So Johnny was like, I'll go wait in my car and I'll come back in a few minutes. So Johnny went out to his car for a little while.
This gave the dude time to get ready.
Yeah, well, he doesn't know. He thinks he's waiting for Jen to come back. So Johnny goes out to his car.
Being horny will get you killed.
So true. So Johnny goes out to his car, waits a few minutes, and then comes back into the garage. Mark picked up his cell phone and pretended to talk to, quote unquote, Jen, and said, hey, this guy's here for you. And then he goes, oh, Jen's just stuck in traffic. She said she'll be here very shortly. But Johnny was getting weirded out by this whole situation. And he goes, you know what? I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to go home. So on the way home, Johnny called his friend Willie again and told him the whole story and told him how weird it was. Once he got home, he messaged Jen's profile and kind of was like, hey, like, what's going on? Did you not really want to hang out with me? 20 minutes later, Jen wrote back, traffic died down. I ended up getting home pretty quickly. I do want to hang out. If you want to hang out, just come back over and we can hang out for the rest of the night. And catfishing wasn't a thing back then. So
it was always a thing. They just didn't give it that stupid ass name.
I know, but he believed it. So he got away and then he came back. So Johnny walked back into the garage, and who was there? Mark. Johnny's last words on earth before Mark killed him were, I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment. How terrible is that? And then Mark hit him on the head and started beating him with the pipe.
Oh, damn.
Johnny tried to fight back. He really did. He put up a fight, but Mark had a pipe, and he hit him in the head like a bunch of times.
Mark had all that practice from his fake sword fights.
Exactly.
There's no match for that.
So after he hit him on the head a few times, Mark pulled out a combat knife and stabbed him in the stomach. And after he stabbed him in the stomach, Johnny started screaming, so he stabbed him in the throat, and then Johnny died. He then dismembered the body and put it in multiple plastic bags. He cleaned up the room, but he put the bags with the body parts in it in Johnny's own car in a red Mazda, and then pulled the car into the garage. So a couple days go by, October 12th. Mark broke into Johnny's apartment. He found out where he lived because he got his wallet. He broke into his apartment and he went on his Facebook and put up a Facebook status and said, I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm going to the Caribbean for a few months with my new girlfriend, Jen.
Oh, my goodness.
He also emailed Johnny's friends saying that he'll be in Costa Rica with Jen for a while. You know, I'll be gone, don't come looking for me type of thing.
I think that's how you know it's fake. Because if you communicate with your friends, you don't do it through email.
Exactly. And his friends didn't buy it. They didn't believe it at all. They went right to the police. But the police are like, this is a 38-year-old guy. Like, if he wants to go off to Costa Rica and run away with a woman, that's what he can do. It's his prerogative. And they didn't put a missing persons report in. They didn't search for him.
Damn.
So Twitchell still had Johnny's body and he had to get rid of it. So he decided to buy a giant barrel online and he would burn the body in his parents' backyard in a barrel. But what he didn't realize, because he's the stupidest killer and loser that ever lived, is, I mean, nobody would really realize this, but I feel like if you decide your life's mission is to be a serial killer, you might know how to like do things like this, or at least try to learn. But he didn't. He started burning the body, and giant black smoke was coming out and burning a body. Apparently, I don't know this for sure, but I heard that it takes a long time. It doesn't just like burn instantly.
I'm thinking like maybe it's like cooking food. Like how long does it take like a steak to burn? I don't know. But
this apparently it doesn't happen instantly. So there was tons of black smoke, and it was very suspicious because he's just doing it in the backyard of his parents' house. So he decided to stop. He poured water on it or used a hose to hose it off and stopped burning the body, and then had to figure out another way to dispose of it.
Now he just had like barbecue people.
Yeah, he's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. So meanwhile, like I said, Johnny's friends are really worried, and they decided if the cops aren't going to do anything, we're going to break into his apartment and see if we find anything. So his friends break in.
That's dope. I like that.
Yeah, they break in and they find his passport. And they go right to the police station and they say if he was going to Costa Rica, he would need his passport.
Yep.
And his passport is here. So he is not in Costa Rica. And finally, the police decided to listen. So his friends knew where his whereabouts were because remember, he called his friend Willie and told him exactly where he was going. He was going to this garage in this part of town.
Respect to Willie and the other homies that came and got him. Excuse me. Sorry.
Ew.
Those beers would get... What do you mean, ew? Who doesn't burp?
It's gross.
You know what? We did like 20-some episodes, and this is the first burp. So that's a good ratio.
Okay.
If I burp once every 20-something episodes...
So they knew where the garage was. And instead of actually going and searching the garage, it's like the laziest police work ever. They just go and they look through the windows. And they see nothing suspicious, so they don't look into it any further.
Another Deputy Dewey.
Exactly.
That's what we're going to call bad police work, Deputy Deweys.
Exactly. So Twitchell dismembered the body even further. He ended up cutting it up into smaller pieces, and then he put the body in the sewer 1 block away from his parents' house. Now, this is just going to show how even bigger of an idiot this guy is and how like he just lives in this delusional world because he documented the entire thing from the guy Gio and this guy Johnny. He documented everything in an online document on his laptop titled SK Confessions. Serial Killer Confessions.
Well, you didn't realize...
How lame is he?
Well, you don't realize back then, like, that people can get into all that stuff. Like, you think your password really secures stuff. We didn't know, like, how stuff works.
He's an idiot. I don't care. So,
I mean, he's probably dumb.
Police start investigating and realize that Twitchell was the person who rented the garage. He rented the garage for this movie production that he was putting on. So they brought him in for questioning. And when they brought him in, he just kept talking about his Star Wars movie. He kept saying the Star Wars movie and how much he's into Star Wars and cosplay. And he did it because he was trying to throw the cops off and making him, the cops think that, he's just this nerdy guy. He could never kill someone. He's just a nerd, aspiring filmmaker. And they bought it. The cops were like, this guy doesn't seem suspicious. He's just like a nerd who wants to make Star Wars movies.
These cops is dumb. They look through windows. Like, did you do it? Nah, sounds good to me.
Exactly. So after, questioning him the first time, they almost wrote him off. But then Mark made another mistake. He was trying to get a little too far ahead of the story. And he mentioned a red Mazda. He mentioned that he bought a red Mazda off of some dude who was going off to Costa Rica. And he shouldn't have done that because up until that point, he was denying knowing anything about Johnny. So why bring up the red Mazda? If you didn't know Johnny and you didn't know anything, why would you even bring that up?
I know why.
Why?
Because he wanted to keep the car.
No, he didn't keep the car.
But you say he bought it.
No, he told the cops that he did. It's like he was trying to get ahead of the story. He was trying to put...
Sounds like he was trying to keep the car, like, in the future. Like, I'm going to keep this car. It's a nice car.
No, he didn't keep the car. He ended up giving it to someone else. But he just told the cops that he bought the car from some dude going to Costa Rica. Like, he was trying to he thought the cops already knew more than they did. And he was trying to get ahead of the story. And when he did that, the cops got suspicious because they're like, if you don't know anything going on, you don't know this guy Johnny, how do you know about a red Mazda? Why are you even mentioning a red Mazda? And then it kind of made them think, this guy might know more than he says. So they brought him back in for questioning again, and he ended up becoming the number one suspect. And Mark tried to twist the story in saying that someone else must have used the garage, but police weren't buying it. They had enough circumstantial evidence to impound Mark's car, which was full of evidence. And part of the evidence that was in his car was his laptop. And in the laptop was the 35-page document titled SK Confessions.
35 pages.
Which had it super detailed account of everything he did to prepare for being this serial killer, quote unquote.
Your boy's donkey of the day.
So they used luminol in the garage to find the blood, and they found all the blood. Once they, he tried to clean it up, but once you use luminol, they just see this blood everywhere because the plastic stuff he put up didn't work either because he's stupid. And they also found the pipe. He ended up leaving the pipe in the garage, and the pipe, he never cleaned it, so there was blood all over it.
Damn.
They matched the DNA of the blood to Johnny, and they decided it's time to arrest Twitchell. So instead of just going and arresting him at his parents' house where he was staying, they thought it would be more fun to like trick him, which is kind of funny to me because in the end they pretty much just did it for laughs. So what they did is they had an undercover cop call him and pretend that he wanted to invest in one of his movies and offer him like a ton of money.
Get him all hyped up.
Yeah, got him all hyped up, thinking that he's like this awesome, smart filmmaker. And Mark was like, he totally believed it. He thought, oh man, yeah, this is my chance to become this famous filmmaker. And he didn't think the police could arrest him because there was no body and police had no body. So he was like, oh, they'll never be able to catch me, blah, blah, blah. So they ended up, the fake investor said, let's meet on Halloween night to discuss it. So on Halloween night, he walked out of his parents' house, and as soon as he did, he got tackled to the ground by tons of cops, and he was arrested. And his father said to one of the cops, you probably should get a vasectomy. That's what his father said to one of the cops, because he was so ashamed of having a son, pretty much. So Mark Twitchell was under arrest for murder and convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But because of the media coverage and this SK Confessions document getting leaked online, and like they talked about it in the court documents, he was revered in jail as like this scary Hannibal Lecter-esque guy. And so you would think...
You know what it is? Because jail's a lot of dumb crackheads.
Well, he's just like some giant nerd who's terrible at everything. And then he goes to jail and he ends up... Everyone's afraid of him. And he ends up like running the jail that he's in.
That's crazy.
I know. So he's still in jail today. He's in prison for life. And he created a dating profile from prison. And you can write him if you'd like, because he has his P.O. box on there.
Just send them dick pics.
And I have I wanted to read to you what his profile says, because it's pretty funny. Do you want to hear it?
If I said no, will you still read it?
Yeah, I'm still going to read it because it's funny. I was tentative about reaching out because I thought I couldn't offer much and doubted anyone could look past my reputation and see the human being. But trying is definitely worthwhile if it means just finding one meaningful, mutually fulfilling friendship. My crime doesn't define or represent me at all. I've made some terrible, regrettable choices in the past and come to terms with the consequences. Now I seek to infuse purpose into my life. Connection is a huge part of that. My manifest... Oh, damn.
Jess is not good at reading out loud.
I'm not. My creative engine never slows, so I produce artwork constantly and craft novels and screenplays to manifest my relentless imagination. I enjoy tennis, chess, and clever storytelling. I love rain and the music of artists like Sia and Arcade Fire. I'm looking for an interesting, intelligent, open-minded, delightfully imperfect woman to relate to and share amusing observations with, as well as a potentially and long lasting relationship, and maybe even a weekend every few months if it gets there naturally.
Conjugal visits. Hey, you know what though? You can't get none of that if you don't try to get it. And how many dudes find a woman in jail? Some women marry these dudes.
I know, it's so weird to me. So that's the story of Mark Twitchell. This was a suggestion.
All right,
by a girl who follows us. Her name is Candace. I'm trying to get through the suggestions that I have a few of them to get through. And this was a suggestion. She suggested this a while ago because she specifically said she thought Russ would find it funny.
It is pretty funny.
And her name's Candace, and she's the one that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but on one of our comments, she put hashtag stay fat, no kidnap.
Oh, that was her. That's right. I meant to bring that up, but my memory doesn't work like that. That's pretty good.
Instead of stay fit, stay alive, Candace wrote stay fat, no kidnap.
Yeah, they can't take you away unless they got a wheelbarrow, I guess.
So shout out to you, Candace. Thank you for this suggestion.
But I just want to run.
I thought this was a pretty funny story, but it's also terrible. I mean, it's funny because he's such an idiot, but it's really sad and terrible and just shows that you literally can't put anything past anybody. Like,
he's like a bumbling loser.
He's
like a clumsy, bumzillant. I picture him like panicking, like he's poking the guy with the stick, and the guy's dancing and wiggling as he's poking him. He's probably panicking, like he keeps poking him. And
yeah, he's just an idiot. Ugh, he was such a loser. So that's it.
All right, guys. So check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod. That's where we are most of the time. When I say we, I mean Jess. And I jump on there too occasionally. And then we got that Facebook group, The Wife of Crime. And then go to our website, wifeofcrime.com. Check us out. We got pictures of like the crimes and the evidence and stuff like that there. And we also have a link to our merch there, so go check that out, because sometimes I have a hard time finding it myself. And I'm out of breath now.
All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for coming back. Talk to you soon. Bye.